Absolute Sword Sense. By Hanjun Liuya. Chapter 71. So Young-Hyun. Part 1. At the entrance to the northern village of Yulong County, hundreds of warriors of the Ikyang-so family were marching in rows, and in the middle of this procession on horseback was a handsome man with a beard and a light green silk robe, So Young-Hyun, the head of the family. The man and woman wearing indigo uniforms riding the horses on either side were the representatives of Mount Hyang. One was the first sword of Mount Hyang, Cho Jong-un, and the other, a female warrior, was Cho Il-hai. So Young-Hyun, the head, came to meet these two people who were also members of the Murim Alliance. Cho Jong-un expressed his hesitation at this procession. "You didn't have to do this." Seeing Cho Jong-un like that, So Young-Hyun smiled, "Ha ha ha. If we treat guests to our hometown like this, Murim society would not let us live with our heads up. Do not feel too burdened. I am grateful, but ask for your understanding that I am not used to this kind of hospitality. We spend most of our time in the mountains," added Cho Il-hai. Even though it was late in the day, she was still able to speak in an energetic, confident voice. "Whenever I look at you, it feels like you are a truly remarkable warrior. You seem to be a true model for us. I am grateful to you that my daughter has such a strong warrior to rely on." "It is nothing." The expression of the girl who was watching this from behind wasn't good. The name of the girl, who looked to be around 17 or 18, was So Young-Hyun. She was the eldest daughter of the family and the only daughter of So Young-Hyun. He is really putting out nasty words. She hated her father. In front of others, he spoke as if he cared for her all his life, when the reality was quite the opposite. For him, his daughter was just an accessory. Such unfortunate timing. Now she didn't have much time left in Mount Hyang. After this year she will have to come back to her home, and in that case, they would decide who she will marry. That is the undeniable duty of a woman. Her father was someone who emphasized power. If it weren't for him, the family would have already sold her off to some old man through marriage. This was why she was determined to fight in this Murim Alliance tournament. "I need to win." If she was the winner, or maybe even one of the finalists, she would receive the position of a commander for a squad or some other form of leadership role, and then she could stay in the Murim Alliance. If she was lucky, she wouldn't be tied up to some man she hadn't ever met. But despite the short while since we last met with Lord So, it seems like your achievements have increased a lot compared to before. At Cho Il-hai's praises, the young man in a colorful silk robe riding the horse in the back row took the lead. Looking at the man's face, he looked a lot like So Young-Hyun. He was So Young-Hyun, the eldest son of the family. "I think he will be able to have a good confrontation with our Sayang." "That is too much. How can my son ever be spoken in the same sentence as the first sword of Mount Hyang's disciple? I just want to see a good one." "That is too much, my lord." To So Young-Hyun's left was a tall, indigo uniform-wearing person. He was So Il-ju, the first disciple under Cho Jong-un Sayang. For 2 years, he built up his reputation as the disciple of Cho Jong-un and was now considered a likely winner of the Murim Alliance tournament. "I am quite nervous as I haven't seen So Hyun in a long time." "Haha, a guy who saves my son's face. You are a truly smart disciple." "This is..." Cho Jong-un shyly touched his nose. There was a friendly atmosphere forming when someone came running for Ikyang-so. They wore the attire of a normal guard in the family. "Tak. I offer my greeting to the Lord, and to the disciples of Mount Hyang." The Lord felt curious at this and asked, "What happened?" "That." As the warrior hesitated, the Lord said to the guests next to him, "It seems like this is a family matter, so I might be a bit different from now on." "It is fine, my lord." Not paying attention to the two of them, he nodded to the warrior, and the warrior sent the transmission message to So Young-Hyun, whose expression began to go stiff. So Young-Hyun turned his head to So Young-Hyun. As his throat trembled, it was clear that he was sending him a message. After the instructions were given, So Young-Hyun turned to the two guests. "If it is fine, it seems like something minute cropped up at the family house. I would like to send my children there first." "Please do so." So Young-Hyun was a bit shocked. What happened at home that she was being sent like this? And then a thought flashed. Perhaps? While she was thinking, So Young-Hyun said, "Let's go." Yes. She would find out once she got there. When her brother took the lead, she simply followed, and after a long distance had formed between them and the procession, So Young-Hyun said, "If we don't hurry, everything will be a mess." "What do you mean?" "That trash is back home." Trash meant her brother. So Young-Hyun's eyes widened at this. So, did it mean that the man who went missing had come back? If this was right. Stupid So Won-hui. She cursed under her breath. When she heard that he disappeared as she was in the sect, she thought that it would be better as long as he escaped from the family without being hurt. Then why did he have to come back now? She felt so helpless. It feels like I will be sick. She didn't want to see her one and only blood being beaten by those fools again. But it was going to happen, and that made her feel nauseous. And he sent me a message. "You bastard. Did you do this trusting your Saji?" At his question, I responded. "Why are you using a voice transmission technique? What is it? Are you trying to say something the others shouldn't know of?" "You." So Young-Hyun's expression changed at my question. But he was a lot better than the little one who doesn't even know how to control his emotions. Or was it because the one on the floor was still young? Why was I scared of returning here? "You." So Young-Hyun immediately looked to the left and right. He said this while holding back his anger, knowing that the atmosphere wasn't good. "Yes, the hand of your Saji is a bit too much, right?" Even if So Jang-yoon was a bit excited being drunk, there was no need to break his wrist. Trying to blame it on us. I glanced at him. The fact that he and Young-Hyun were here means that the Lord would be here too, right? Then that was good. The original plan could be accelerated. And so I said, that is the problem. I think it was a bit of overkill as my Saji was a bit hasty to stop it. I deliberately left room for discussion. And he looked at me. It isn't just overkill. Who dares to break the wrist of a man in the family of the So? So Young-Hyun raised his voice, wanting everyone to listen to it. It seems that he wanted the warriors to move according to him, but what? The others watched So Jang-yoon's stupid act. Contrary to his wishes, the warriors and even the friends of So Jang-yoon didn't move. But I still thought that this place wasn't good enough for me. In the midst of this, there was no one who came ahead and pointed out the mistake So Jang-yoon had made. And then someone intervened. Wait. The person who intervened was So Young-Hyun, and she approached the side of Song Yanghwa. The variable. I was trying to fight verbally, but Song Yanghwa could tell Young-Hyun what happened. Didn't I say I didn't like it? Right. It seemed like she was trying to help me out here. But didn't Song Yanghwa hate me? I was a bit puzzled when Young-Hyun spoke up. Yanghwa, Uni, please inform me of what happened till now. Second brother was drunk and made a mistake as he tried to kill third brother. At her words, So Young-Hyun's expression turned cold. Contrary to what he had intended, Young-Hyun was criticizing So Jang-yoon. And he said in a cold voice. Third brother? Who is the third brother here? Brother. To call a person who has been abandoned by the family as brother. That is a dirty bloodline. Slap. Young-Hyun couldn't stand hearing it and tried to slap him. Well, this idiot wasn't Jang-yoon, so he managed to hold her hand lightly, and Young-Hyun spoke with tears in her eyes, "Let go of my hand." She didn't care about anything, but she hated those who called me dirty blood, and she hated the indirect words of insult at her mother. So Young-Hyun looked shocked. But then he was already angry. Even if I said something wrong. Let go of her hand. What? He turned to me thinking it was ridiculous that I spoke. And said, Are you talking to me? Young-Hyun shouted at me. Do not do this. The moment I heard it, a weird strange feeling welled up inside me. I used to think she hated me, but no. She was treating me coldly with the fear that others wouldn't take the hate onto me. Something hot surged in the chest. An emotion different from anger surfaced when I smiled at her. "Now I will protect you." At my words, her face turned red as she burst into tears. "How dare this idiot try to talk to us? Do not meddle between me and my brother. How dare you act out?" Before Young-Hyun could finish her words, So Young-Hyun raised his head and tried to slap her. Pack. I moved like lightning and grabbed his wrist. As soon as I caught his wrist, the guy looked startled and tried to hit me with his elbow. Pack. But before his elbow could touch me, I shifted my grasp on his wrist and threw him to the floor. Huh? Thud. Yuck. Young-Hyun looked at me with wide eyes at this unexpected sight. Chapter 72. So Young-Hyun. Part 2. Brother, you have internal chi? Young-Hyun looked a bit shocked and was clearly in disbelief. It seemed like Song Yanghwa hadn't noticed. Young-Hyun still thought that my dantian was broken and had tried to protect me. Amazing. Right. I am ashamed to call myself her brother. I had never thought she would grow up this fast. Ugh. Fat. At that time, Song Young-Hyun, who was on the ground, got back up. I had restrained myself when I threw him down, so this was expected. I didn't want to end this easily either. He had almost made my sister cry, so he had to pay. What about his skills? Short Sword was curious, since if one was paying careful attention he moved like a first-rate warrior. He was definitely better than So Jang-Yoon. Considering that his skills were good enough to be a representative, it seemed that he was at least above average. So Young-Hyun, who thought he could take me down, looked bewildered. "No, your dantian was healed?" Well, I didn't have to tell him that. After all, it was easier for me when they were mistaken and rushed blindly at me. But he seemed to be a bit careful now. He seems to be putting up his guard. His self-esteem must have taken a blow, seeing as how he had been thrown on his ass in front of everyone, especially when things ran counter to his expectations. Rather, it seemed like he was back to his rational sense. It looked like he was trying to figure me out. He had to at least feel out how much internal chi I possessed, and then make sure his skills were enough to close the gap. Try to lure him in a little. At Short Sword's words, I decided to display only a little of my chi which any second-rate warrior would have. And he smiled. It worked. As Short Sword said, his face was rather triumphant. He was convinced he was stronger than me, and without another word he drew his sword. He was confident that I was weaker than him. Brother. Young-Hyun sent me a transmission. He isn't an opponent that can be defeated even if your dantian has healed. Ah. Even Young-Hyun seemed to have also been fooled into thinking I was just a second-rate warrior. After all, who would think that a man who had just healed their dantian could rise to such a high position in just a year and a couple of months, compared to the kids who had been sheltered and fed pills their entire lives? Especially when they were kids nurtured by the So family. Still, it was nice that my only blood was worried about me. It is fine, trust your brother. What is fine? It will be horrible. Young-Hyun didn't believe me that easily. And it was then, So Young-Hyun, who saw that I was looking at Young-Hyun, rushed at me. He was aiming for a surprise attack. Be careful. Young-Hyun yelled at me and I pulled out my sword and moved to block his strike. My movements were faster. Sring. Chong. I pulled out Southern Heavenly Iron Sword from its cloth sheath and raised it, causing my brother's sword to simply bounce off mine. And then I quickly slapped him on the cheek slap. The guy's eyes trembled as his head turned with the slap. It must feel horrible to be hit by someone lower than yourself. That is the price for aiming at my sister's cheek. You. He immediately spread out his feet and raised his sword within a distance of 2 steps. It was the So-Hyun sword technique, one of the 3 techniques that this family was so proud of. I hadn't seen it for a long time, but I leisurely swung my sword and blocked his strike. Cha-chung. There was no need to use a sword technique to block this. It was a foolish decision for him to use a sword technique on me too. I couldn't care less if he had used a technique I didn't know, but this was a skill I had seen countless times. After blocking it in 3 movements, I slashed the stabbing movement of his sword and slapped him again. Slap. 1 on the left side again. That is the price for insulting my Saji who saved my life. You bastard. He cursed as he started to lose his composure. After being slapped twice, it now felt like he didn't want to control himself anymore. Right. That is what I want you to look like. Huh. On the other hand, my sister was in shock. She was worried that I would be hurt, but when I was bullying him, she seemed surprised. The same was true for the warriors of the family. Is this really the trash of Yulong County? How is this possible? After So Young-Hyun, now even So Young-Hyun was suffering humiliation at my hands, so they were all shocked. Young-Hyun didn't get much spotlight as he was known to be weak, but I was holding my ground against this guy who was well known. Wonhui. Iron Sword called for me. At this moment, the sound of swords and rank rattled in my head. Dash. Hook. With so many swords coming, this much sound was bound to follow. The headache from the sound went down after I used the innate chi for a bit. It was hard to notice these things in the Ikyang-so family, surrounded by so many swords, but thanks to these many swords, I came to an understanding. Wonhui. They are? Right, Iron Sword. With this amount of people, the Lord must have returned. I felt 3 swords that were strong. Very strong. 3 strong swords? There were standards for swords being evaluated as strong, such as short sword and iron sword. The strong ones were those who grew with their masters. The second type could be either old treasures or even divine swords. No matter how carefully a new sword was crafted, it was still a newborn baby. I could guess with certainty who one was, but could only guess the titles of the others. One would be the Lord, and the other 2 would have to be the first sword and the female warrior of Mount Hyang. It was worth the time, and they had arrived at the right moment. Now it was time to harvest. You. So Young-Hyun, who felt ashamed at being slapped, rushed at me again. Lord. Cho Sung-won's voice rang in my ear, and I knew why he had called. I could tell from the crowd around us going silent. When I turned my head, I looked to see a middle-aged man cloaked in a green robe, and a bitter face, along with 2 warriors on either side of him. The lord of this family, So Young-Hyun. Beside him were 2 people, a man, and a woman in indigo uniforms. These were faces I hadn't seen in a long time. But they don't know me. Before coming back to life, I never came into close contact with anyone else due to the shame I had caused my family. As a spy, I saw them when I was in the Murim Alliance. What is this? Cho Il-hai asked with a frown as she saw my siblings lying on the ground. And she looked at me and asked, who is that man? She certainly seemed to have noticed that I was the one who did this. The chi she was releasing to pressure me was so strong that it felt like she belonged to the strong warriors. Strong. But the guy next to her was even stronger than her. There was no intimidation like Hayak Chun, but it was clear that the base levels of the peak had been crossed. On the other hand, So Young-Hyun felt to be slightly on par with the woman. Of course, one shouldn't judge their strength by internal chi alone. So Young-Hyun had a complicated expression. Cho Il-hai herself couldn't understand what was going on. What is it? I was not sure either. Maybe because the child he threw away came back stronger than others? It was then, father. It is evil arts. He used evil martial arts, shouted So Young-Hyun, who had noticed the Lord and the other 2 people of Mount Hyang. I thought he wouldn't be able to speak as I had broken his jaw, but he was still struggling to stay on top. Evil arts? But an unexpected person reacted. He was the first sword of Mount Hyang, Cho Eun-jong. I remembered him. The person who was gentle and shy most of the time. But he was someone who didn't like injustice at all, especially the forces of evil. It isn't evil arts. Pat. But before I could even explain, the man moved. In the blink of an eye, he reduced the distance to 15 steps. I knew that Mount Hyang is known to have quick swords and footwork, but I didn't think it would be this good. He stopped right in front of me and asked, Disciple. Have you mastered the evil arts? No. Then why is the successor of the family saying that you did? Because the evil arts adversely affects the human body. Most people hated those who used such things. And Cho Eun-jong was one of them. Hyung. That man in front of you is my brother. Brother? So Won-wi? Cho Eun-jong frowned. Judging from his reaction, it seemed like he heard about me from the Young-Hyun. I thought this would go well, but I heard your dantian was damaged. Is that incorrect? SH. He grabbed onto my wrist. He seemed suspicious of me no matter how much he heard, and he had to check it for himself. I quickly stepped back. What is this? The dantian, which was damaged and in 1 year, yet you managed to get to this level. Tack. Cho Eun-jong was following my movement. Well, he was known to be a genius. Give me a chance to explain. Srin. At my words, he pulled out his sword. I checked you. What more can be explained through words? You want to do this? If we fight, then it will be clear if you used evil arts or not. Pick your sword up. Chachka. As soon as he said that, his sword began to come for me. It was the famous clear wind sword. A technique that any warrior in their sect can learn, but what was unfolding now isn't such a simple one but a higher level of it. Nothing could be done. If this was going to happen, then I had to prove it with my sword. The pure wind sword of his began to change like the wind. To counter this, I did the same. Loach-shaped sword technique. It was one of the 3 techniques I had learned. Like a soft willow branch, it was a technique that could handle anything. Cha-cha-kang. And our swords collided. Mine like a willow branch and his like the wind met, and our swords entangled. Each time the swords collided, my palms hurt. This is different. He was different from the people I had faced till now. Cho Eun-jong, who would become the master of this faction, made me wonder if I could win with just half my power. How could such a soft technique hold so much power? Then should I spread the distance, Pat. Cho Eun-jong, who was fighting me, widened the distance first, and the others looked puzzled at his actions. But then he suddenly asked me with a trembling voice, what is your relationship with warrior Ho Jong-dae? At his words, the quiet place turned noisy. Ho Jong-dae? Did he just say that name? Warrior Ho Jong-dae. Even after 15 years, there was no one in the world of Murim who didn't know of that man. It was the name of the man of Yunnan province, the heavenly southern swordsman. And he asked me again. Tell me clearly. Do you know that man? At his question, I bowed down and spoke confidently. He is my teacher. As soon as I said those words, my insides felt twisted,